Hello, I'm Genova Messiah. I'm the learning participation here at Tower Hamlets Local History Library and Archives. In my role, I provide outreach supported by the local history collections. Today, I'm bringing you a video talking a little bit about how you can care for your own personal records at home. So, this video concerns community archives. So, those are records of local people and local community groups. What are archives? So archives are a collection of unique records kept for their history rather than the purpose they were created. These collections are collected by and document the activities of individuals and groups. Archives are chosen for their historical value and preserved for future public access. The term archives can also be the name of a specialist physical or virtual space that holds more than one collection of archives. Examples of archive collections. Within an archive collection, you could expect to find meeting minutes and reports, diaries, correspondence such as letter and emails, registers, financial records, promotional material, printed publications, photographs, plans and drawings, and audiovisual materials such as film and sound recordings. Why are my records valuable? So, many of us do not realise how important our archives are to local history and the potential that they have. Records of local communities give us a unique picture of decisions made by and experience of those living at the time. Archives are historical evidence that events happened. All archives matter, no matter how small, they can contribute to local history. Archives provide documented evidence of activities of human society. If we didn't have archives, so much of our history would be lost. It is important that we have evidence of the lives of local people. You do not have to be famous or a celebrity for your archives to be of value. Archives need records to accurately represent the diversity of people living at the time. There are gaps in our collections, and we are keen to collect records such as business records. Records of businesses, unless they're really large companies, rarely end up in our archives. And they are a good representation of the demographics in an area at a time, at any specific time. Ethnic groups and migrant communities, records of ethnic communities are increasingly valuable. From the Bengali community, other communities such as the Black African Caribbean community, Chinese, Somali, Vietnamese are less represented in our collections. And highlighting the values of these community records will improve historic representation. Social activities, records of social activities, documentation of social activities such as music, hobbies, community events, social gatherings, or the everyday lives of residents. So this is a case study or example of a recent deposit with our collection. And within our archive collection. So this is Stan Jones's archive. Stan Jones was a resident of Mile End his whole life, and at 90 years old, he passed away in 2020. He lived in the same street. Stan's neighbours was aware he had a large collection of photographs, and he enjoyed taking photographs throughout his life as a hobby. Stan's photo collections included those taken of his home during the Queen's coronation and subsequent Jubilee celebrations. A neighbour and a neighbourhood group became involved after his death and contacted family members and us here at Tower Hamlets Local History and Library and Archives for further guidance on what to do with his large collections of mainly photographic material. So the outcome of this archive was Stan Jones's photographs and records were deposited here at Tower Hamlets Local History Library and Archives, and there was also a successful Heritage Lottery Fund bid to have the records digitised as an exhibition. These were displayed as an exhibition marking the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The exhibition is also due to circulate in other community sites such as Toynbee Hall. So this is an example of how records of a local person, mainly photographs of a local person, documenting his life and his experiences living as a local resident, are very important to local history. Two very important concepts to think about when dealing with archive records and collections is a thing called provenance. Provenance is an important term relating to where archives came from, who created, kept and owned these records, and how and where they were kept. This information is invaluable as the record themselves. Provenance gives context and assists with ownership and shows how the records were used at the time they were created. So, and sometimes personal archives can contain records of individuals, businesses, organisations and groups. So this is an example of if you do have an archive collection or a collection of records, how various items within the collection have meaning because they are kept all together and not separated. Also, original order. So the order that the documents were used at the time they were created is very important. It also helps archivists, if the records are ever to be deposited with an archive, it also helps archivists assess the authenticity of the records themselves. What should I keep? So, if you do have a collection of records or inherited a collection of records or have become responsible for a collection of records, then it's important to think what I should keep and what I should dispose of. So again, think about the kinds of things that are found in archive collections that have been kept for future preservation and selected for their historical value. So again, reports, correspondence, diaries, photographic material, audiovisual material. Also, consider if you have more than one item, disposing of like multiple of the same copy. So let's just say you have a publication, keep two, just in case one got damaged, you would have another. Financial records, receipts and invoices over 7 years old, usually should dispose of them, especially if they are summarised in an account book or annual report. Some records containing personal information should no longer be kept, and do think about data protection and legislation, as there is a limit to their use if it concerns personal information of other individuals. Records such as registers, minutes can be kept for historical reasons, for archiving in the public interest. When you've identified what records to keep, it is important to think about how to care for these records. This will prevent damage, deterioration, and keep them in better condition for longer. Think about the environment you're storing these records in and possible risks. So risks include the storage area being clean and tidy, because dust and dirt can cause irreversible damage to records. If you're storing the records at home, consider a place that you can clean regularly. Room temperature and humidity. The best condition for storing your records is a cool, dry place. Avoid places with sudden changes in temperature or places which can become too humid. Keep items, especially films or photographs, in cardboard boxes and check them regularly. Risks of fire. Ensure that the location of your records is away from open fires, stoves, electric heaters and radiators. This also includes master switches and electrical circuits, as electrical fires are a risk to your records. Do not attempt to heat the area to regulate temperature. Try to store records in a place that has a temperature that self-regulates. Also ensure that the space has a smoke detector fitted and make sure you know how this works. There's also risks of flooding. Store your records in a place that is at least risk of water damage. Record stores in basements or attics are more at risk of water damage. Both locations can suffer leaks, sudden changes in temperature and humidity. Store records off the floor with adequate shelving. This lowers the risks of low-level water rising. Also avoid storing records in areas with plumbing, boilers or pipes. I think that these places are places that records are often found, and a lot of people keep records in these places, and sometimes it is hard to find a location at home that doesn't have a space at home that doesn't have pipes, boilers, master switches, but hopefully, especially if you've located those most valuable records, you can find a safe space. Maybe you've got a walk-in cupboard or wardrobe at the top that is away from plumbing, piping, and other kind of home items that could cause some damage. Security risks. Think about where the records are kept. Who has access? Is this in a room that is easily accessed by people? Is there confidential information? Are the items in a secure place that can be locked? Avoid theft or unauthorized access to your records. Digital records, ensure that antivirus software is installed and make regular backups. I will talk a little bit about digital records in a moment. Personal and confidential information. So if you have records that contain personal information about living individuals, it's important to keep these safe and secure. Do not share with third parties unless depositing for archiving it in the public interest. So once you've sorted your storage environment, think about packing your records adequately. So always try to keep records in boxed and sturdy cardboard boxes. If you have the resources, purchase acid-free archival standard boxes you see on the right. For temporary storage, use lidded cardboard boxes to ensure you reduce the exposure to pests, dust, dirt and dust. Avoid using plastic boxes as they restrict airflow through the records and can cause a build-up of microorganisms. Never reuse boxes that have had food stored in them, as this can attract unwanted pests. Ideally, photographs will be stored in archival polyester sleeves. For example, one here. To avoid damage from handling. Brand names include Menelex, Polymets, and Mylar, and these can be purchased via archive conservation companies. Do not overfill your boxes, as breaking the box poses a risk to contents. It also is a safety hazard when handling. Keep original packing where you can, such as folders, as they can be meaningful to the original content, order and content. So don't dispose of the packaging or the content. Sometimes they have handwritten labels and annotations. Consider getting extra resources, again, such as archive freestanding boxes and Menelex, especially if you have selected valuable records for future preservation. So now you've sorted out your environment and prepared for boxing and packaging your records, think about organising them now. You can begin by boxing up the records you intend to keep and prepare to list the items in each box. Label boxes with a pencil or with slips of paper inserted in the boxes. Never use sticky notes or labels on archival records themselves, as they can cause damage. Use slips of paper to label bound volumes, example, photo albums. You will need clean hands, space and time to sort through your records. Also, find an extra pair of hands, especially for manual lifting heavy items. When boxing and listing, make sure you avoid using non-brass paper clips. These are brass paper clips. Don't use your original coloured or steel looking paper clips. Use brass paper clips if needed. Avoid using metal clasps or ties. Avoid repairing items with sticky tape or glue, as this can cause damage to the item. Never laminate original items. Respect original order of the records again. Do not separate items. Again, as I explained, provenance is very important. So don't separate items in the way you think they should be organised. Just sort items in the way that they appear to link with one another before you've boxed them up. I want to talk a little bit about digital records. Most records now are in digital format, and understanding our digital records can seem a little bit complex. Digital records are as important as physical ones and form part of an archive. There are records that created in formats that may not be accessible for future use, such as floppy disks or videotape. All digital records are those created only in digital form. Digital records can come in a variety of formats, including emails, Word, PDF documents, social media posts, web pages, Google documents. They can be stored in different carriers and places, especially if they've been collected over a certain period of time, such as videotapes, tape recordings, CDs, floppy disks, external hard drives, USBs, your laptop, and the iCloud. To organise digital records, you can organise them in the same way as you organise physical ones. So you can keep folders and file titles where they make sense. Make at least 2 regular backups, one at a different physical location, so you can have a hard drive and then some in the cloud. Check the data about these files, date created or last modified. Make sure if you save and copy digital records that the date that they were created isn't been changed or modified. Ensure you save files such as a Word document as a PDF. Make a record of where digital items are stored. For images, save copy as a JPEG. This is the most accessible format and records the date of creation. Using external hard drives to make space on your computer and mobile device. So when your phone is too full, as we've all had, when our phone is too full of pictures and images, consider getting an external hard drive and backing up all your photographs and anything that you have stored on your phone. I know I have notes in particular and images on my phone, so I do like to store them in an external hard drive. So in relation to digital records, it's also important for physical records as well. So digitisation is an option which involves scanning or making a digital copy of physical records that you may have in your possession, and either uploading them and storing them on our hard drive or our iCloud storage. Making digital copies of your records means that you can also share these records with family and friends rather than separating. So let's just say, for example, you have inherited as a family an excess of kin's records. So that includes photographs or documents of activities in their life. And a lot of the time, families do separate these records, separate photographs, separate all different parts of the archive. If you make copies, then people can have records, sharing records, and the original documents can all be kept together. However, the digital copy, though, does not replace how valuable the original record is. So ensuring that risks are reduced to the original physical item is also important. I just want to talk a little bit about another case study of a community archive. This is the archive of the Tower Hamlets African Caribbean Mental Health Organisation, and they're a community partner of us here at Local History Library and Archives. The group originally began supporting the mental health of Black men in the community. In recent years, they've been actively involved in local heritage projects and contribute to Black History Month, the Black History Month programme. As an organisation, they have also been active in the borough, collaborating with other institutions such as the Museum of Docklands, London Docklands, specifically the Sugar and Slavery exhibition. The outcome of the deposit that we acquired, so the members of SACMO, as we like to call them, for short, deposited a large portion of their archive records with us, and this began with a meeting with the archive manager, who appraised the collection. The deposit has been a valuable addition in diversifying the archive collections representing the Black, African and Caribbean community. And that's an image there of us taking in the archive by the members of the organisation. So the future of your records. You do have many options when it comes to the future of your records. Many choose to pass the records to family members or next of kin. Within organisations, usually to the successor within that organisation. You might like to seek advice from an archivist in a local archive to see how to manage your records. Depositing your records can be a good option if you can no longer store or care for them, or want them to be accessible for research purposes. Long-term preservation is a good idea. For long-term preservation, it is a good idea to consult an archive or specialist repository. Depositing with an archive may mean that your records receive specialist care. Items including photography and audiovisual materials may need extra resources for future preservations, and that you may not be able to provide those specific resources for preservation. There are different places which may be best suited for your deposit. The simplest way is to transfer your records over as a gift. Ownership and use of the collections can be maintained by the archive service. You can deposit on loan, and this may work especially if you are still active or your organisation is still going. These decisions can be agreed between you and the organisation you choose to deposit your records with, or if you're just seeking advice, then yes, they can give you many options of what to do with your records. So this video has been created just as a taster of a workshop that we've been working on here on helping users and members of the community care for their own records. There will be available a web page and a guidance booklet, and if you do visit our website, we have more information on how to deposit your records with us, or if you are interested in receiving any more tips or guidance, or you have any questions or feedback on how we can improve this guidance, please do drop us an email or get in contact with any of us here at Tower Hamlets Local History Library and Archives. I'm Genova, and thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully, yes, we can see some of you soon. Take care.